Have you ever noticed how nobody really teaches you how to grow up? People teach you how to pass exams, how to get good grades, how to behave, how to build a career. But nobody really teaches you how to handle the pressure that comes with growing up. Nobody explains why so many teenagers feel lost, even when they're doing everything they're supposed to do. And maybe that's why so many people spend years feeling like something is wrong with them. Not because they're failing, not because they're lazy, but because they're trying to navigate one of the most confusing periods of their life without a map. Think about how often you're told to focus on the future, study for your future, choose a career for your future, prepare for your future, plan your future. It's almost as if life is always happening somewhere ahead of you. And after hearing that for years, something starts happening. People stop living and start waiting. Waiting until they get better grades. Waiting until they become more confident. Waiting until they have more money. Waiting until they finally become the person they think they're supposed to be. But while they're waiting, life keeps moving. Days become months. Months become years. And without even realizing it, they start growing into someone they never consciously chose to become. Not because they made a terrible mistake, but because they were so busy following directions that they never stopped to ask where those directions were leading. That's the trap. And it's far more common than most people realize. The part nobody notices, and the strange thing is, most people don't even notice when they start feeling lost. It doesn't happen suddenly. It happens slowly, quietly, like a background process running in your life. You wake up, go to school, come back, scroll for a while, think about what you should be doing, feel guilty, and sleep. Then repeat. And the cycle becomes so normal that it stops feeling like a problem. It just feels like life. And because everyone around you is doing the same thing, you assume this is just how life works. But no one really stops to question it. No one asks, am I actually living or just repeating days? Comparison. Not the obvious kind. Not, I want what they have. But silent comparison. The kind that changes how you see yourself without asking permission. You open your phone for a few seconds, and suddenly you see people your age doing things that look impossible. Someone is building a business. Someone is traveling. Someone is getting perfect grades. Someone looks confident, successful, ahead. And without thinking, your mind starts adjusting your own life against theirs. Not just what they have, but who you are. And slowly, your own progress starts feeling small, even when it isn't, even when you're actually improving. The trap of not enough begins. You stop noticing your own growth because your brain is constantly focused on what's missing. You study for hours, but it feels like nothing. You try to improve, but it feels too slow. You make progress, but someone else always feels ahead. So your mind starts repeating one quiet sentence in the background. You're not enough yet. And the worst part? You start believing it without questioning it. Then, slowly, something else enters. Validation. You stop doing things because you want to do them, and start doing things because they look right, because they feel acceptable, because they feel safe. You start choosing paths that don't create judgment and avoiding things that might, even if those things are what you actually want. And without realizing it, your life becomes less about choice and more about approval. And there's another trap that feels harmless at first. Consumption. Watching videos, scrolling, learning, planning, thinking, preparing. It feels like you're doing something, but you're not moving. You're just collecting information about life instead of actually living it. And the mind doesn't notice the difference at first because consuming feels productive. It feels like effort. But days pass, weeks pass, and nothing actually changes. And this is where everything connects. Comparison makes you feel behind. Validation makes you dependent. Consumption makes you stuck. And autopilot makes you unaware. So life doesn't fall apart loudly. It drifts quietly, slowly, without warning. Until one day, you pause for a second and feel like you don't recognize the direction your life is taking. Not because something went wrong, but because nothing was ever consciously chosen in the first place. And at some point, a question comes up. Not from outside, from inside. Quietly. Almost uncomfortably. Is this actually my life? Or just the life I fell into? And most people ignore that question. Because answering it would mean looking at things differently. But the truth is, that question doesn't go away. It just stays there, waiting. Maybe the biggest mistake isn't growing up. Maybe it's growing up without ever stopping to ask who you're becoming. Because the world is always in a hurry. It wants you to keep moving, keep achieving, keep chasing the next milestone. And somewhere in all that noise, it's easy to forget that life isn't just about reaching the next destination. It's also about becoming someone you can genuinely respect along the way. One day, people won't remember your exam scores. Most of your social media posts will be forgotten. The trends you're trying so hard to keep up with today will eventually disappear. But the person you're becoming because of your daily choices, that stays. So don't let the world decide your identity before you've had the chance to discover it yourself. Question the things you chase. Question the opinions you copy. Question the version of success you've been handed. Not because every path is wrong, but because not every path is yours. You don't have to have your entire life figured out today. Almost nobody does. But you owe it to yourself to stay curious, to keep asking questions, to think for yourself. Because growing up isn't about becoming everything the world expects. It's about slowly becoming the person you can look at in the mirror and honestly say, I know who I am. Maybe that day won't come tomorrow. Maybe it won't come this year. But every moment you choose awareness over autopilot, every time you choose authenticity over approval, every time you choose progress over comparison, you're already moving closer to that person. And maybe that's what growing up was supposed to be all along. If this conversation gave words to thoughts you've never been able to explain, then this channel was made for you. Subscribe to Unsaid Minds and become part of a community that isn't trying to escape uncomfortable thoughts, but understand them. Because sometimes the quietest thoughts are the ones that change us the most. Until the next conversation, take care of your mind.